Alright, we are here for the Clubman Cup in the Challenge Series, episode 80. We're getting pretty close to the end of Season 2 here, only, well, this and two more championships to go. One of which being Sunday Cup Plus, which would be episode 88. At least tentatively. We might honestly go back on that, because the 600 category is not quite as popular as the other four. There might even be a dirt championship. We've been kind of working on that, but the problem is that, there's only so many cars in that. The 20-car championship grid might be, literally the whole dirt division. I mean, I guess there's something wrong with that, but it also wouldn't be a super balanced race because not all of the cars are in the same category. We got, some 675s, some 640s, and a couple of 600s, like Amber Ashhart, and Mosan likes to use her old Alpine A110 because that was an actual rally car, unlike the other two that she drives. But yeah, so 6 races, the 640 class racing. I was going to go back over the starting grid, but that's kind of pointless because you'll see it after this crossfade transition. Well, I say see the starting grid. You really can't see much of anything given how dark it is here at the site of the first race of the championship, Interlagos. It is very early in the morning because, well, we couldn't get any other time slots to work. The circuit is very busy. There are quite a few tracks that are like that on the Challenge Series, like the list of tracks we go to. There are more than a few tracks that are just, not readily available because of how many other things they have that happen there. But Interlagos has typically been a relatively major fixture of championship race setups for a while now, so that's kind of why we're okay, we have to figure this out somehow, because Interlagos has been used in a lot of championships. A track like this, I can't imagine is too fun for an old muscle car. Corner exit traction is probably quite a commodity. However, I suppose it's also not like Nittori is the only one here driving such a car. Almost nearly a third of the field is driving something similar. Be it Nozomi's Mustang, Vincent Houston's GT350, Tyler's Super Bee, Nittori's Challenger, Thrasher's Mustang, or Jeremiah Wood's Super Bee. So, yeah, 6 of the 20 competitors are in a car from over 50 years ago. Actually, that's more than 6, because there's also, Sebastian Duchamp's Beetle. That technically counts for that. We've had some lap 1 incidents. Based on context clues, one of these two ran to the back of Tyler. I don't know who. If it was Kotori or Nakazato. I don't know if Nakazato's even... I don't know if Kotori was anywhere near Tyler, but I know Noriaki was on the starting grid, so... It's probably him with the lapse of judgment. Almost into the top 10 is Kawashiro, however she has to be quick about it as this is only a 4-lap race. She just gets Noir around the outside of the first of consecutive hairpins. Very interesting overtaking maneuver coming from such a vehicle that usually doesn't do well on low-speed turns. Obviously, she's put a lot of time into the setup of this car, so that's probably part of it, but not all of it. A good setup can only get you so far. You're driving a car, certain cars are just going to have certain characteristics that are just, like just a part of that vehicle. You drive an old muscle car, you're gonna have some control issues. If we're gonna try and get 2 on 1 straightaway, but now it's gonna be 3 wide into turn 1. And Liv is there. Italy has to make way for the BMW. But manages to sneak her way through ahead of both the BMW and the minivan. It's all very single file. Haneo is leading the way in her Renault Clio, with Mizoto right behind. Like the tuner muscle exhaust. No, that's not a muscle car right there. This is a weird looking muscle car. I'm not gonna lie. It was me in 4th, basically just trying not to lose more positions. Nitori and Nozomi fighting for the lead muscle car. Nitori wins that handily. Nozomi contests back down the inside, but Nitori is unfazed. Well, she's into 4th. However, the top 3 cars are very spread out and very fast. Haneo in particular, I was not aware that she was going to be running lap times like this. I know I was told that she's become quite the setup engineer in the time that Mercury Racing was away from the Challenge Series. But I didn't know it was going to be like that. Also, what clusterfuck. Francesca had a really bad turn 1 there, and it kind of backed Nozomi and, by extension, like everybody else, into her. And I'm surprised my car has no damage after that. Especially with Newstein nearby. Has been demonstrating some very aggressive driving lately. Speaking of aggressive driving, holy crap, Italy. Down the inside of Kaminaga, and basically pulls a pseudo slide job to make the pass. Kansei Drifto from Koizumi. I guess that makes sense. She only recently learned how to drift when she got a hold of this mid-engine rear-wheel drive Clio rather than her old front-wheel drive Megane. And it would seem as though Mitsuri has run out of time. So heading out of the final turns, or little kinks on the straightaway, Haneo Koizumi is going to win the first round of the Clubman Cup pretty handily. Nico Mizoto not too far away in second, and Nitori will grab a podium. Kaminaga 4th, and Nozomi 5th. I barely hang on to 7th place, and the minivan hangs on to a top 10, also barely. And yeah, that'll do it for race 1. Yeah, these 3 got damage early on. I don't really know what from what, and I didn't really bother myself with investigation because I don't know. I just kind of put some of the pieces together. One of these 2 ran into the back of Tyler. I don't know which one. But I don't think Kotori was starting very high on the starting grid, and Tyler and Nakasato were somewhere in the middle. So I'm going to go ahead and assume it was Noriaki. But on to round 2. And the second race is green. I pushed to clear my throat before starting the recording. Good work, me. And we are off for 4 laps of Catalunya circuit. We go from Brazil to Spain. Almost speaking the same language here. But, you know, still being halfway across the globe. Thrasher already has damage. Umi's a bit late on the brakes, I would say. And Fernando has just as much damage. I'm assuming this was a bit of an accordion effect. He got pushed into me by Katamatsu, but neither me nor him got damage. Only Fernando. That is a big L to his name. Although, in Katamatsu's defense, he definitely, like, straight up moved in the braking zone. Like, he merged at the apex. Our proponents want to think Kotexa, our focus car, also got into Thrasher a bit there, but it hardly even matters because his car is already banged up. Thrasher almost spins there. He got a bit of sand on the way into turn 7. JSR could really use some decent showings from its 2 reps here in the Clubman Cup. As, oh my lord, well that'll help. Absolute just traffic jam at the apex of turn 10. Kotexa getting no room from Fernando. I almost said Oro. I mean, that's his nickname. That's what he goes by on the leaderboard, but that's a leaderboard-only term. As of this point, I just kind of let Kotexa by. I really can't be asked to try and keep him at bay. Because if Fernando goes in, Thrasher goes in, Umi goes in, Tyler continues to just get damage. But at turn 10, it sure is. He was caught off guard by the big pileup caused by somebody parking the bus on the apex. I don't actually know who it was. It probably wasn't any one specific person either. Yeah, the good old truck trade-off. They are very stable and more maneuverable than you'd ever expect them to be, and they're durable too. They can push things around if they have to. Which is ironic, because that's a strategy that none of our heavyweight vehicle drivers actually willingly use nowadays. Kingsley, Kotexa, and Elzaman are as laid back of a driver as you can get, just about. I don't know about Katamatsu yet. He's still sort of a big question mark for me. But his van falls in the same category of stable and decent acceleration at low range, but once you get over 100 and I'd say 135 miles an hour, their power band goes to shit and they don't go anywhere on long straights. Kotexa kinda mitigates this a little bit because he's got a low-end torque supercharger, but it doesn't help enough. But Katamatsu has a turbocharger, so it's not avoidable for him. A little bit of bump and run. A little bit of paint traded between Kawashiro and Kotexa there for the Mustang. Really? It's a weird looking Mustang right there. F-150 to moving to 7th, looking for 6th on Risotto. He's given approximately, like exactly an F-150's width on the inside lane, and he should clear the 8C. Yeah, he did. Yeah, as soon as he gets up into like the second, like the higher part of the revs in 4th, just nothing. And here comes Misoto back down the inside, but he doesn't brake late enough. So it's kind of a fair trade-off for these trucks, but at the same time, for any course that doesn't have a long straightaway, I think of like the trucks are pretty good at Road Atlanta, and they'll be pretty good at Laguna Seca as well. or I guess the catch-all term should be heavyweights, because it includes the Tundras, the F-150s, and the, well, now the Alphard. So, they're all kind of handled the same, honestly. I mean, obviously they're not exactly the same, but they're relatively similar, considering they stand out quite literally. At this moment, it is a Mercury Racing 1-2. Nozomi leads Haneo around here at Catalunya. I think Haneo may be complacent to sit there in second place and let her teammate do the hard work carrying the lead. Because right now, if she's already the points leader off of her victory in the last race, so she only needs stay here to, you know, increase that lead. Nozomi's not really didn't finish that well in the last race. As Cortexa is about to we're having a battle between a Volkswagen Beetle and a Ford F-150. Sure, Shelby, Raptor. Only in the Challenge Series. He doesn't have the acceleration to keep alongside the Bug. Tries late braking techniques. That doesn't work either, but maybe he can just outthink him in the corners. And yep, he sweeps on the outside of the Bug and exterminates it, putting the truck into 4th place. But he is running out of time very quickly, and the lead two are pretty far away. He might get the Kaminaga in time, but I can't imagine he'll be getting to the lead in the next 2/3 of the lap. These two are pretty confidently controlling the field at the moment, I would say. Cortexa is sizing up a move on that Skyline. He tries the outside at first, but that's... well, it worked better than I expected, which is to say not at all. He's got to the inside of the R32, and now he has to outbrake it into the hairpin, which he has done. So it'll be 20th to probably 3rd, unless one of the two Mercury girls make an absolutely critical mistake. It's not a bad showing for JSR. As I was about to mention, their team is starting to kind of fall under. They've gone from originally 7 drivers to 4. But they still have one of their best on the fleet, as Damien Cortexa will take 3rd. Nozomi will take a convincing victory over her teammate Haneo. Cortexa places 3rd, Kaminaga 4th, and the Bug, Sebastian Sham, will take 5th place. If it weren't for Damien, this would be a very processional race, but, you know, here we are. Biggest losers here. Once again, Tyler gets, well, I mean, it was his fault for being caught off guard. You know, it's always the car behind's job to avoid rear-end contact, but at the same time, you could never really expect that they'll be doing like 16 miles an hour at the apex of a hairpin. I think, I don't know who it was, but I think somebody was like blocking up in the braking zone, and in their process of saving the vehicle, slowed down the queue going through the turn. So that enabled multiple cars to shoot on the outside, but if you were stuck on the inside of that hairpin, you were losing time, or in Tyler's case, losing your front bumper. So now let us advance to race 3 for the, well, 3rd and final part of the first half of the episode. Episode 80, part 1 is almost complete. We are green from the ring, the high-speed ring, for the 3rd race of the Club Mitten Cup. A bit lengthier, 6 laps to play here, as we are on board with Victoria Noir, one of our 2 NFR 300Zs, and she's trying the Taniguchi line on the outside of, how many cars was that? Well, she got 8 and could have had more if the track didn't kind of bottleneck there. Oh, she's still getting more. Calculated play into the S's. She's already up into 10th. And looking for even a bit more than that. And we're not even through lap 1 yet. She's kind of stuck behind the Ford Brigade here. Or rather, it's even like the Shelby Brigade, because that's definitely a Shelby Raptor and not a Ford F-150. Already up into 8th. Finally, you can get around the truck after navigating the bug. 6th place, and she's going to get a little bit of a slipstream off of me, too. Well, I'll be goddamned. Might be 4th, almost 3rd up the line, but 3rd basically at the end of 1 lap. Talk about the whole shot for Noir, as I get absolutely judo chopped by Kaminaga here. And once again, Noir kind of takes... she doesn't run all the way up line like Hikari Taniguchi did, but she does run this sort of upper mid lane, which still reaps some benefits in cornering speeds without the risk of understeering and smacking a wall. Now she only has to make 2 more passes. Nico and both Mizoto and Nozomi. Nozomi's trying to do 2 in a row after having just taken the victory at Barcelona. Mizoto's been relatively consistent so far, but he can do little but concede to the sheer corner exit pace of Noir in this 300Z. We may have the same car, but we don't necessarily have the same setup in our cars. So... I made the joke about Tyler earlier, but I think it's really Kotori that's getting the short end of this championship. And... wow. That's a yikes. Thrasher didn't change his gear ratios over from the last race. As, like, missed Noir taking the lead. Yeah, it's that sort of middle lane. Still benefits from banking. He just embarrassed Nozomi just there. There's no other word for that. As we look up and down the field, now that Noir has taken her rightful place on top of the world, Nozomi's gonna try and stick with her and challenge her, and apparently send it down the inside, but that's just from so unbelievably far back, as Noir actually gets a little bit of oversteer there, and it still might not matter. Nozomi is gonna have some slipstream and a better exit there. She loses a lot of speed in the corners compared to Noir, so they're actually about all squares over the line. My God, Fernando. This is basically the battle of longest gear ratios at the moment. Who has the longest gear ratios and the best power figure to dominate the front straightaway? Right now I can tell you who exactly that isn't. Kotexa and Thrasher. Thrasher's topping out at 144. Sorry, 146. The van is going faster than him because his gear ratios are not long enough. Yeah, I figured the truck or the heavyweights would kind of struggle here for the reasons I mentioned the last time out of Barcelona. They don't have the greatest straight line performance. They're really good in first through fourth gear, but once they get any higher than that, they kind of lose their head of steam. I mean, Thrasher's gonna have more acceleration than anybody else, but he's not gonna be able to even get over 150, which even the minivan is doing. They got 154 on the straightaway, courtesy of some draft from Umi, who basically dusted him on the front straightaway. Thrasher is battling a minivan for 17th. That is a sentence I didn't think I would ever say when I started up this series. And Noir is still just kind of keeping the race at her own pace. There doesn't seem to be a whole lot that Nozomi can really do about it. They've been at this like dead heat ever since Noir took the lead at the start of lap 2. The new fastest lap just dropped, 14.399. As I continue to attempt to stave off the hordes. We got some long gears in our 300ZXs, which has been NFR's saving grace, to say the least. It's what's kept Noir in the lead and me out of the all-consuming wave of automobiles. I'm leading just the biggest frickin' train, because I don't have much acceleration right now. How many cars are in this train? Like, I'm leading a 9-car train right now, I think that was. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yes, a 10-car train. And it is going to get really awkward heading towards the line because everyone is 2x2 like it's a NASCAR race start. But Noir doesn't have such problems. She's going to head out of the last turn. A little bit of resistance from Nozomi, but Noir is gonna win at high speed ring. Nozomi does take the fastest lap, but it doesn't matter, because we don't get points for that here. We're not F1. Mizoto with yet another podium finish. And Fernando Ferranzi finally makes up for his previous races. I managed a top 5, and it's nose to tail over the line for a lot of cars. Or maybe even more than that, as we see this star formation going on across the line in a battle for what is technically 9th place that Hanao is going to barely win over Liv, followed by Tyler, followed by Houston, followed by Francesca. And I don't know if Umi does get that pass made, huh? Yeah, she does. So the race timer ran out just after she made that pass on Thrasher. So that's a rip. And I shall return momentarily with the current point standings halfway through the Clubman Cup. After about a 7-minute wait, because another interruption happened. There was already a scrapped recording, because in the middle of the first race, Mom came downstairs to grab a can of soda and immediately walk back upstairs. So that was just my luck. Current point standings. Points leader up to this point is Nozomi. 55 out of 60 possible points to have possibly been scored after 3 races, so she's clearly on fire. Followed by Nico Mizoto at 52 points. Hanao Koizumi at 51. This was her first kinda race, and that was still 9th position. Neo Kaminaga, 4th in points, with 3 above average consistent results of 4th, 4th, and 6th. Me, 5th place at 40 points. Yeah, the difference between 4th and 5th is 9 points. Nidori at 38, Newstein at 36, tied with Noir for 7th. Damien Kotexa at 34. After this race, it's kind of just crushed him a little bit there. Tie for 10th in points between Francesca Fedanzi and Jeremiah Wood. Noriaki Nakazato at 29. Katamatsu and Fernando Fedanzi are tied at 24 for 13th in points. Then it's Sham at 22. Vincent Houston at 21. Umi at 17. Thrasher and Tyler tied at 16 points. And then Kotori shares, last all to herself at a mere 8 points. Clearly Umi, yes, but all of Mercury is a team of extremes right now. They're first and third in points, but they're also last and fourth from last in points. Meanwhile, Noir and myself are separated by 4 points. And the 2 JSR drivers are separated by 18 points. What other teams are even represented here? The 2 Fedanzi drivers are 7 points apart. And the 2 Blue Strata drivers are 10 points apart. Surprisingly, Thrasher's the only Blackstone Motorsports driver here. I don't know how that even happened. Considering he has the second biggest team, it's a wonder it's not like 4 people per race. But no, it's only him here this time. But with those points settled, that'll do it for the first half of episode 80. The second half, we'll finish things off here